We've got a couple of things on the agenda. Joe, our superintendent would like to provide an update on a short update on the budget, and then I believe Mr. Piccarello has some remarks to make as well. So with that said, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. D.
Thank you, sir. Our budget has been built from a zero base with the idea that we were dealing with a $1.7 million state aid cut. We will survive those cuts. We did have some reduction in force. That is not an easy thing, but it is unfortunately a necessity. The budget will go down approximately 4.25%. We submitted it to the county and had difficulty getting it passed because of some strange revenue strands that we have. All that has been taken care of. The budget has been approved. We will put it in the newspaper as soon as it is, we will put it on the website as soon as the board approves it this week. And I'm very thankful for significant work that was put forth by the administrative team for the budget. There is no tax levy increase with this budget. I repeat, no tax levy increase. I would now like to turn it over to Mr. Piccarello, who will give us a very short version of science test results as required by law. Joseph?
Thank you. As many of you know, for NJSLA, the science portion, 3 different grade levels take this annually. This includes 5th grade, 8th grade, and 11th grade. The scores come out after the rest of the state scores, and I will give you a very short summary. Essentially, our 5th grade students scored about 6 points under the state average, our 8th grade students about 2 points under the state average, and our 11th grade students about 5 points under the state average. Within our district grouping, which is a way of comparing us to comparable school districts with a similar demographic, our numbers are a bit higher. They do look a bit better compared to similar peers. However, those are the scores as they relate to the state. For a full report on this in more detail, this will be posted as is required on our school website for you to look further. And this was also a requirement for CUSAC reporting. Many of you know we are in the midst of an online CUSAC, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Piccarello. Before I move on to the agenda, a couple of quick remarks. Again, just glad you are all here, and particularly those that are watching. On behalf of the board, we certainly hope that all of your loved ones are healthy this evening. Secondly, I'd like to, I've said this before, but I'm going to continue to say it. A huge thank you to all of the staff, each and every one of you in the district, for the amazing work that you've just been doing during these rather unusual times. And certainly would be remiss in not specifically thanking our technology team and Kyle for fielding as many questions as I'm sure you have, and ensuring that the virtual learning is going well from a technology perspective. We certainly appreciate that. As for the potential reopening of the schools, the governor intends to, I believe, make a decision on the 15th. So there remains lots of unknowns for us and every other district in the state. So as much as we'd love to provide you with answers to all those questions that many of you may have in terms of when will we reopen, what's it going to look like, et cetera, we just don't have answers today because of the amount of unknowns. I know that Mr. DiBenedetto has some concerns about how it would look when we open up, what kind of resources are going to be required, et cetera. So more to come on that. And I also want to thank Mr. DiBenedetto and Mr. Piccarello for all that you have been doing. I happened to run into Art one day when he was coming into the office during what was supposed to be spring break, and apparently he doesn't take spring break. So he was doing his thing, and I certainly appreciate that. We have a fairly routine agenda this evening. We have our annual approvals and appointments. Obviously, with school being closed, we don't have any acknowledgements this evening. Our committees took a different form this month in that administration sent out the materials to the committees. The committee members each had an opportunity to ask questions and discuss all of that material with the administration, and this all, of course, happened as a substitution for how we would normally conduct our business. But that all went well. Finance includes the budget that our superintendent just reviewed, and then we've got some personnel items and a few student services and curriculum, and then, of course, the cooperative. So our superintendent's asked that we move the entire budget or do a single vote budget, which I'm okay with, and
Agenda.
the agenda.
Yes.
And so with that said, and unless there's any strong objections, I'd ask that we have a motion to approve the entire agenda, items 7 through 19, 7 being the approval of the minutes.
Alex, we have one little thing I wanted to mention regarding the acknowledgements. We do have acknowledgements of the Hopatcong High School students who made the high honor roll and honor roll. So those students are listed, but that's just one small point.
And middle school also put out that honor roll as well, just so you know. I don't know if it's listed in our paperwork, but I know our middle school students proudly got their honors as well.
Yes, and thank you both for pointing that out. Yes, those lists are out, and congratulations to all of those students and all those who helped to make it possible. So with that said, I'll go back to
I'll move the agenda. I'll move it the way you asked for it, 7 through 19, I believe you said.
I'll second.
Yes, ma'am. So I have a motion by Ms. Smith, and I'm sorry, I couldn't tell exactly
Ms.
who.
Parati, I believe.
Oh, it's Michelle.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Parati. With that, Mrs. Benedetto, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Schubert?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Ms. Jacobus? Ms. Jacobus?
She's on. Erin, you need to unmute.
I'll come back to her. Ms. Trumpour? Ms. Parati?
Yes.
Dr. Schindler?
I have to abstain from 7, but yes, otherwise.
Thank you. Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mr. McLean?
Yes, with the exception of I'm going to abstain from personnel.
Very good. We're going to try Ms. Jacobus or Ms. Trumpour again. Microphones.
Can they just give a thumbs up?
Carol, you're unmuted now. Is your volume up? And I no longer see Ms. Jacobus.
All right.
They may have to abstain.
All right.
I'm assuming we have enough votes.
All right, so the motion passes, so it's, reminder, we must do the public, part of the agenda after this.
Thanks. Oh, I'm sorry, there was also an addendum. That's correct, all right? We had this addendum
Yes,
with the retirement of the custodian.
yeah, the retirement, yes.
The word,
I'll move the entirety of the addendum A through D.
thank you.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
That was
Sarah.
Dr.
Sarah.
Schindler.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. DiBenedetto, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gallagher,
Yes.
Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith,
Yes, yes, yes.
Ms. Schubert,
Yes.
Ms. Jacobus, Ms. Trumpour, Ms. Parati,
Yes.
Dr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes, I'm going to abstain from D.
Okay, and Mr. Francis, I apologize for leaving you last. Thank you.
I think Aaron just joined us.
There we go. Hello?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was hitting the wrong thing.
That's okay. Would you, we moved the entire agenda with a first and a second, and would you care to cast your vote on?
Sure.
What's that?
Sure. I'm a yes, but I have some abstains.
Okay.
I'm a yes, but I abstain on 7A and 7B. And abstain 9J, 9K,
I'm sorry.
9O,
I'm sorry. 9J and what?
9K, like kite,
Okay.
9K, 9O, like orange, and 10B, 10 boy.
All right, so 7A, 7B, 9J as in James, 9 kite as in kite, 9O, and 10B?
You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so at this point, we'll move on to the public comment portion of the agenda. And I know it's unusual, but we did request that questions or comments be provided via email to the superintendent and assistant superintendent, which have been forwarded to me. I'm in receipt of 2. Obviously, for those in the public that did not have an opportunity or were not aware of the process, the board's emails, each board member, the entire board, and the superintendent and the assistant superintendent, their emails are all on the school district website, as they always are. And please feel free to email any of us at any time. I think you'll find that we're more than accessible. And obviously you can always call the office and leave a message for whomever it is that you're looking to speak with.
Mr. McLean?
Yes, sir.
Just a point, we did give anyone who emailed us an opportunity to join the meeting and speak live. They chose not to, so they asked that it be read.
Okay, so I will go ahead and read these and answer them to the best of my ability. So the first comment is from Joanna Woodward, and it says as follows. I first want to thank you all for you let me try that again. I first want to thank all of you for all that you do for our children and to let you know what a wonderful job you are all doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. I understand there's a dateline to possibly stop online schooling and head towards going back to school on May the 15th. If this happens, have you thought of the most vulnerable students with underlying health conditions that this virus can cause them to be critically ill if they get it through others at school? Can there be a choice for us parents whether they can continue homeschooling instead? And Mr. DiBenedetto, I'll leave the answer to that to you, as you're probably in a better position to.
Thank you, sir. The answer to that question is quite simple. Whereas the health of our children is vital, and whereas that's a priority, there is no doubt that there will be significant liberal interpretation of the attendance policy. That should not be a worry for parents if we need to reopen. If we reopen June 1st, every case will be taken on an individual basis, but there will be extreme room for understanding. So please don't worry about that. There's enough things going on. Thank you for the opportunity to answer, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, sir. The second question comment comes from Miss Lynn Owens, and it is as follows. My name is Lynn Owens, and I have lived in Hopatcong since 1947. I went all through the schools in Hopatcong and to Sparta High School, from which I graduated. My husband, Brian, and I have lived in Hopatcong since 1976. Both of our daughters went all through the Hopatcong schools. I just listened to the YouTube video and am so impressed with the superintendent and assistant superintendent and how they are handling the current school crisis, both the financial difficulties and the coronavirus difficulties in our schools. They both seem so caring and motivated to do the best for the students and families in Hopatcong. And such good news about the sale of Hudson Maxim. For me, it is bittersweet news. I attended Hudson Maxim from kindergarten through 8th grade. Lots of wonderful memories, but it is time to let it go. So this note is really to the staff of all the schools. Thank you all for your efforts. And Ms. Owens, we certainly, I think we, as a board, concur with your comments and certainly appreciate them. And again, to anyone else in the public who is not aware of the process, I don't know if we'll be doing this again next month or not, but if so, we'll be asking for questions via email in advance. And in the meantime, certainly feel free to reach out, whether through the superintendent's office or via email to anyone on the board or Mr. DiBenedetto, and I'm sure you'll find us more than accessible. So with that, I believe that concludes our agenda for the evening. And so I would like to have a motion to adjourn.
Can I say one thing before we do that?
Yes.
You have spent this meeting singing the accolades of all of the amazing people in our district who are continuing to teach our kids, and the administration who is leading it, and everybody who's doing a phenomenal job in the worst of circumstances. And you left yourself out of that. So I would like to make everybody aware, whoever's listening, and the board, that Mr. McLean and his wife and his family put together a food drive for families in our school and our town for people who might not have enough to eat. And that is the reason that he saw Mr. DiBenedetto during spring break, is because they were out there for a large portion of a couple of days giving away food that they had gotten donated from huge companies and restaurants. And they did an amazing, amazing job. And I think you need a big round of applause for that, because your heart is huge and everybody needs to know that.
Bravo, Mr. McLean, bravo.
Thank you, Dr. Schindler. Unnecessary. That is not board agenda. That was not a board agenda item.
No, I know it was not. It was your own personal thing, and that's what made it even better.
No, thank you so much. I know firsthand what it's like to live in a household that struggles week to week and what stress that can cause. So I've been fortunate, and it's time for me to give back, and I enjoy doing so. So thank you again.
God bless. Very good.
Now you can adjourn the meeting.
Now, you're all in favor of adjourning.
Aye.
Get a second. I'll second.
All right, Michelle.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great night and stay healthy.
Thank you.